Hello, my wonderful finance oracle fans. I trust you're doing well today. Today is another beautiful day, and I've come here to give you a very great information that will help you to go a long way towards achieving your dream of migrating to country of your choice. Well, today I'm going to be talking about express entry. I will be discussing about the Federal Express entry, and I would like you to pay attention. Well, before I go on, I want to say, guys, how are you? I hope you're doing well. It is important for me to know how you're faring. Remember what I've always said, you're my greatest asset and your welfare is key to me. So guys, I'd like you to take a few seconds of your time and type in the comment section, yep, I'm doing well. Yeah, if there's something, you want to share, just feel free to share it on the comment section. But I want to be sure you're fine, and I want to be sure that you're in good, health, and you are also articulated planning for the future. Well, today we are going to plan together because I'm going to be dropping for you relevant information. In fact, today I will be telling you, I will be discussing with you what most YouTubers do not want to, go into because it is complex, it is difficult, it needs a lot of research. Well, the Federal Express entry is a bit wide, so I'm going to be taking it stage by stage so that you will be able to, appreciate it and understand the process so that you can also apply for yourself. Well, today we are going to be talking about the Federal Express entry. Remember, we have the PNP, which is the Provincial Nominee program. I will also talk about the PNP separate. And the Federal Express entry also have three categories. We have the Federal Skilled Workers Program, we have the Federal Skills Trade Program, and we have the Canadian Experience Class. So they are not all the same thing. Their processes are similar, but a bit different. So I will also break it down. In the next section, I will be talking about the Federal Skilled Workers Program. Next, I will talk about the Federal Skilled Trade Program, then the Canadian Experience Class. So I'm going to break it in that section, but today we are going to look at it in totality, the Federal Express Entry Program. Well, the first thing you need to do if you want to apply for this program is to check if you are eligible. So you have to determine if you're eligible for any of the program under the Express Entry system before you apply. So there are three programs like I've said earlier, so each of the eligibility criteria are all different. So you have to check if you are qualified for the Federal Skilled Worker Program, or you are qualified for the Federal Skilled Trade, or you are qualified for the Canadian Experience Class. Well, if you check eligibility, the next thing you want to do is to do an education assessment, what we call ECA, Education Credential Assessment. Well, candidate must get an education credential assessment document to show that the education is equivalent to the Canadian, is equivalent to that in Canada. What happens is, if you study nursing, you have to do an ECA, so they will now interpret it to the Canadian grades. But for you to be able to do an ECA, your school must be listed in the World University list. Okay, your school must be approved and have accreditation, so as at when you studied. Otherwise, your ECA will not go through. So there are actually organizations authorized to do ECA. One of the most famous one is World Education Services, which is WES. But then we have Comparative Education Service, which is being done by University of Toronto School of Continuing Studies. We also have International Credential Assessment Service of Canada, and lastly we have International Qualification Assessment Services. So all of these guys, about 4 of them, they are all qualified to do your ECA for you. Myself, when I did a couple of years ago, I used World Education Services. That's the most famous and one of the fastest anyway, but all of them are reliable anyway. Step number 3 is that you need to have a language proficiency test. For the language proficiency test, It could be IELTS or its equivalent. But by the way, you know that in Canada, they speak French and they speak English. So they will either take French test or English test or both. If you have both, then you have more score. If you have either of them, then you're good to go. But then, most depending, if it is through the Federal Express entry, minimum should be 7.0 in each of the module. Okay? But then if you're going for provincial nominee, you can even go with 5.5 or 6.0. But then, of course, the higher your score, the better it is. So, if you take this test, it is still valid even after 2 years. It is valid for 2 years after the test date. So, if you have an IELTS which is less than 2 years old, you can still apply with it. So, either you write IELTS or CELPIP. Those are for English. Then for French, it is TEP, T-E-P, okay? That's for English. Those are the 3 tests which you can use to apply for the Federal Express entry. Number 4, so once you have completed your language test and your ECA, the next thing you must do is to create an Express entry profile for one of the 3 Federal Economic Immigration Program which I've stated earlier on. Number 5 is to receive an ITA. You know, everyone who has applied will be placed in the Express entry pool where they are going to be ranked by Immigration, Refugee and Citizen Canada, that's IRCC, and on the basis of your score, which is CRS score, then they will pick the people whom they will be giving an invitation to apply. ITA means invitation to apply. And the next step is medical examination and police verification. Well, for all those who have been invited, you will require to submit a medical certificate which has to be in a hospital that is approved by IRCC. And next also, you also need to submit a police verification which shows that you are not a wanted person. And after that, IRCC will give you an acknowledgement of receipt, which they call AOR, acknowledgement of receipt. And number 7 process is the processing stage, and the processing stage just involve IRCC processing your application. And if the visa officer finds you that, if they find out that they need some additional documentation or information about you, then they will inform you. And this takes about total of about 6 to 8 months for your Express entry application to be fully processed. And number 8 is confirmation of permanent residency, which is COPR. Well, IRCC makes the final decision on your Express entry application, and you will receive a confirmation of permanent residency. Congratulations at this point. And number 9, guess what? Fly to Canada. That is, what is it? Well, this process is not so easy. It's going to take about 6 to 8 months of being under tension, of providing documents, of prayer and all that. But for you to get successful, to become successful and get through to the pool, there are a number of things you have to do, which I will still take in a later section in depth. But just to say a little about it, you are going to have a better score. For example, if you are younger, the younger you are, the better your score. The older you are, the more you reduce your score, or your score gets reduced. If you have more education, like a master's degree, a master's degree, you have a better score. If you have a PhD degree, you have a better score than a first degree. If your spouse have a degree, you have a better, you get score for all these things. Okay, and if you study a professional course like medicine, mostly medicine, not engineering, but mostly medicine and law, they'll give you an additional score. Okay, so a number of things. If you have a job already in Canada, then you get a better score. If you studied in Canada, either 1 year study in Canada and above, you get a better score. So there are a number of things you can do to improve your scores. You can decide to write both English tests and French. If you can speak French and English, then you get additional score. So there are a number of things you have to do to improve your score to be selected. But if you're lucky with the basic information, you may be selected, but it's quite difficult now. You may have to get a job offer, or you have to optimize your score using one of these channels which I've stated. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up, okay, and share it to your links. I'm going to be taking the different express entry channels. I'm going to be taking them in details, and not just taking them in details, I will also come to Provincial Nominee program, where you can get 600 points to up your grades to get picked from express entry, meaning that a province will sponsor you. So guys, stay tuned with me. I'm gonna be doing a lot of job to ensure that you know everything about Canadian and Australian express entry pool, and I wish you the best of luck. Cheers.